All right, we are live. What is going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Mike Roach podcast. Today is one of those shows where obviously we're getting into media day and training camp, and we're going to be talking all about the Toronto Raptors. Okay, now why not have somebody who used to play on the Toronto Raptors, former NBA PG, my guy, Alvin Williams. Alvin, what's going on, my man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Man, I can't complain, brother. I can't complain. What's going on?
Just kicking it, man. This summer it's going by so fast. Getting ready for this new season, man. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what the Raps do. I'm excited to see how the team comes together and the rest of the NBA, man. So I'm ready to get going. I'm ready to get working again too, man. I've been a little bored. I'm ready to start working again.
Listen, I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm dying for the NBA season because it looks like it's really going to be good this year. When you look at how good these teams are in the East, how good these teams are in the West, and we're going to see a lot of good matchups this season. So I'm definitely excited about that. Now, before we actually get to the Toronto Raptors, I'm going to talk about Vince Carter for a second because you played with this guy when he was at his best in Toronto. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we know that his jersey is going up in the rafters. And I see you with him all the time whether he's here or I know you're his boy. You've known him for a long time. What is he feeling like right now? What is he feeling like?
He's excited. I think he's overwhelmed with emotion. Mm-hmm. I think seeing the relationship being mended between him and the Toronto community, the Raptors, the organization, the fans. I was just with him at I think it's Dixon Park, where he had a court refurbished there like over 20 some years ago, and he revisited.
Looks amazing.
Oh my God, man, it's beautiful out there, that court. And we were even talking about doing some programming and hopefully running some leagues and doing some clinics, boys and girls out there next summer, man. I would love to be a part of that. I would love to help spearhead that, but I watched him during that time when I was just with him, man, and he was very appreciative. He was thankful, but I think he was also relieved. I think he was relieved the fact that you're getting past all of the negative things that were happening, all of the bad history, all of the bad blood, and he's being acknowledged. And it's not just being acknowledged, just as I think as a great player. I think just his overall impact with the Toronto Raptors, the Canadian community, the Canadian country, and the overall NBA. So he's very excited. He's happy. He's relieved. He's emotional. But I think most importantly, he's appreciative of everything that's coming his way in these past couple months.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm sure it's tough for him. Like when you put that much time and effort into a city, a team, an organization. I don't think a lot of people really understand the facts and the things that go on behind the scenes as to what it was like for him personally being here. And because you guys, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about Vince Carter is that team, like when you were going toe to toe with AI, right? In that semifinal, like that's the thing that comes to mind when I think about Vince Carter, you and Davis and Oakley and Clark and all these different guys. Yeah. But, when it comes to the point where now all of that's done and there's all these different factors, new GM and new coaches and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it takes a toll on the mind. And I heard him mention that even after all of that now, not even when you're losing games, but when you're winning games and you're still not happy.
Yeah.
Like I was mentioning on a last podcast that I heard him talk a long time ago about at the time when they were looking at possibly bringing in Dr. J as the GM. And they ended up bringing in Rob Babcock. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like if it's hard enough to get people to come to Toronto now. Mm-hmm. So imagine at that time, why not have a guy with major cachet, like one of the most talked about, one of the most electrifying guys in NBA history to come to your front office? I don't know. Like to me, that would have been a breaking point. So a lot of the times when people are saying, oh, he just quit on the team and all that kind of stuff, to be quite honest with you, damn it, in my opinion, I probably would have left too. I ain't joking. I'm dead ass serious.
No,
Like,
you take any relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, teacher, student, coach, athlete, whatever, there's two sides, and everyone has a part to play, and they play their part for whatever the success or the separation. And that's just the relationship. The Toronto Raptors, they were very young. I think they were a new organization with this type of popularity, all these things coming. Vince Carter. And it's still amazing to me that we as adults and fans and media and certain people, you're holding this man accountable to things he did when he was 24, 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
He's almost 50 now, right? And we're still holding on to those things. And yes, sports, they allow, a sport will allow that type of behavior and that type of attitude and that type of mindset, because that's how people view sports. They don't view it as real life things. They don't view the athletes as humans, right?
Right. Right. That's key.
All the time. So you're going to hold me to something I did and I said when I was 21, 22, 23 years old. I'm 50 now, and I'm still suffering from that. So that's the unfortunate thing. And the negative attention that this whole situation is getting, and a narrative that Vince gets, it's sometimes it's upsetting, sometimes it's unfortunate. But again, that's the nature of the beast. And Vince does a good job. He does a good job of being graceful with it all. I think he's patient with it all. But I think Vince also knows that he had a part to play. Whatever that part was, he had a part to play in some of the decisions that were made. So it's not just one-sided. And I'm glad, I'm glad that they're coming together, right?
Yeah.
And acknowledging him and acknowledging his greatness and acknowledging his impact to Toronto Raptors and the entire Canadian community.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Now, another community that has to come together are the Toronto Raptors roster. Okay. And we're going into a new season, Alvin. And I got to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited. I'm excited for this season.
Well,
okay.
Please be honest. Please be excited, man. It's a new season, baby.
But unfortunately, there won't be a lot of winning taking place this year for us, Alvin Williams. At least in my opinion, which is okay because, it's a process and guys got to grow. We're still young. But the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about the Raptors roster going into this season?
I think, again, excitement. And I'm coming from a standpoint of being a former player at this time of the year. You put so much work in the summertime, and you have your mini camps, you have your individual workouts, you have your time to reflect on your past season. You get to see other teams hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy up. So now you get an opportunity, and it's a fresh start. Going to training camp, it's positive vibes, I'm sure. And you look at the team, where the end of last season, we didn't really get a chance to see those guys play together. They weren't healthy. So when you take Immanuel Quickley, you take RJ Barrett, you take Scotty Barnes, you take Jakob Poeltl, you take these guys and have them on the floor together. And now you can have Kelly Olynyk. You have all these people that can now play together. And I think you're going to have some consistent play. And I think for you to be successful, you're going to have consistency. You're going to have growth. Periodically, you're going to have your ups and downs, but you're going to have growth. And I think once this team can be healthy, we'll see a true potential for this team, along with some other pieces. You got Grady Dick coming into the fold. You have your rookies that's going to get an opportunity. And you have players that if they get better, if they've gotten better, which I'm sure they did because they worked hard this summer, it's going to be a surprising season. I think it's going to be an uplifting season. I'm not sure what the success level is going to be because you never can undermine what the other teams on the East did and around the NBA. But I think the Raptors, we're going to get a chance to see these young guys be healthy and play together. And I think that could be dangerous for some teams.
It can be. You're right. You're giving me a little bit more optimism here, Alvin.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm feeling a little bit better right now. I'm feeling a little bit better.
Because Mike, check it out. Like you saw Scotty Barnes last year, right?
Yeah.
Just he grew leaps and bounds, shooting, leadership. I always thought with Scotty, right? Scotty has the goods, and I'm a big fan of his game. I love his approach. I love how He's intense. I love how he takes responsibility on the defensive end. I love he takes the challenge. And his game grew so much. His shot grew so much. His confidence in his shot, his ability to start taking over, being aggressive at certain points of the game. He can handle the ball. He can pass the ball. He can score the ball. And I just see his improvement from last year. So I'm excited to see the next jump. And again, I always think it's his emotions. When you start getting older and the game slows down to you, you start getting more accustomed to this NBA lifestyle, you get NBA game, his emotions won't overwhelm him and won't take him by. Sometimes that was the only thing I would have with Scotty. Like, you're letting your emotions distract you from the game, whether it's with the referees, whether it's with a lack of call, whatever it is. So I think as soon as he starts settling in and continue to mature in that way, he's going to be all-stars again. He can be an all-star again if the team has some mediocre success early on.
So now, a guy like Gary Trent Jr., he's gone, right? He's out of the picture at this point.
Yep.
So now stepping at that starting 2 spot, I'm assuming it's going to be Grady Dick, who's going to be at that 2 spot. I would think. Do you like, or would you rather have a guy like Bruce Brown? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I know he's injured to start the year, but what are your thoughts with Grady Dick possibly starting at that 2 spot for the team?
I mean, I like Grady Dick, and I like what he can bring from the shooting aspect. Today's NBA, that corner 3, he's very efficient. He has athletic.
Oh, did we lose Alvin? Might have lost Alvin. I'm going to have to try and get him back in here as fast as I can. If I can, let me see. Bear with me. Let me see if I can get Alvin back up in here. He's out. Okay. Alvin Williams, let me try and get him back right away. But we were talking about Grady Dick being that possible starter at the 2 position for the Toronto Raptors. Now, I love Grady Dick personally. I talked about him a lot last year, and I talked about him having a really good skill set aside from just being able to shoot, right? So I liked his rebounding. I liked his ability to play make. I like that he was aggressive trying to get into the lane. I liked a lot of different things about Grady Dick, and people talked about him just being a one-trick pony, a guy that's just being able to shoot. No. He could do a lot more than that if you just watch his game. Defensively is where he's going to have to improve on, but I like that he has the ability at least to take on a challenge. Grady Dick. There we go. Alvin Williams is back in the building. No, it's all good. We were listening to you talk about Grady Dick and what you like about his game. Yeah.
I mean, I like everything about what he's been doing, his improvement through the course of the season. It's tough as a rookie when it's ups and downs. Different things are asked of you, and you're still trying to figure it out. But I thought he did a great job going up and down to the G League, coming back, doing certain things. I think he finished the season on a strong note, and he's only going to get better. He has to get stronger physically. Defensively, he has to get better. He has to definitely get better. But offensively, I think he brings something to the team that not many players on his team have, with the athletic ability, the shooting, and the energy. So I'm excited. And I don't know, you can. I mean, definitely has to earn his spot, but I would look into him possibly being that starting 2, that starting wing next to RJ Barrett on the other side.
Now, speaking of RJ Barrett, he comes over from that trade from the New York Knicks. And RJ, I got to be honest, I was impressed last season with what RJ did here in the Toronto Raptors uniform. He's better than I actually thought he was. Like, I knew he was a good player, right? Like, he was a decent player over in there in New York, can give you almost 20 a game. It's just, how is he going to give it to you, right? Consistently shooting from 3-point range. Is he going to be able to get into the lane and get to the free throw line, find his spots? What do you want to see most improve about RJ Barrett's game?
Man, because I'm with you, man. RJ, I got a chance to see RJ when he was in high school. I saw him play in college, of course, at Duke for 1 year. The Knicks, he did a great job there. But he showed me more to his game, his ability to pass the ball, finding people. He wasn't just that put your head down, drive into three people. He was actually finding people. I thought Coach Darko Rajakovic did a good job of setting him up within the offense where he can get to a strong hand, get downhill, where he can make plays off of that scoring. I love the defensive challenge that he attempted, right? He was guarding a lot of big guys, man, a lot of strong wings, and he was doing his thing. So I like what he brings to the team. 3-point shooting can definitely get better, but that's the progression of an athlete. That's a progression of a pro. He's still very young, right? So
Yeah.
I like what he's doing. Continue to get better, continue growing, and continue playing the overall game. And sometimes we got a chance to play the point guard position. And that's just showing that he's thinking the game on a different level. He's feeling the game. His feel is much better. And I love him next to Quickley. I love those two together, that tandem. And he's going to continue to get better. And with the offense that the Raptors are playing, the wide open, the space offense is different than the Knicks offense when he was there. So he has more driving lanes. He has more shooters. He has another playmaker in Scotty Barnes on the floor where he can do certain things. So I'm excited to see what RJ has in store for this upcoming season as well.
Now, Quickley is a guy I really like. Quickley. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, quick off the dribble, can pull up, shoot that three. He's feisty. I like his game. Same question. What would you like to see him improve upon?
Finishing at the basket. I like to see him because he can get to the basket with the best of them. He has a quick first step. You have to respect the three ball. You have to respect the three ball in transition. You have to respect it off of pick and roll action, the swing. So he has that. So now he has the defense off balance, and he has the floater. He definitely has it. He's not bashful to take it. This is being more efficient, and I think that comes with getting more and more opportunities, having that confidence in himself, and getting stronger as well, taking the bump and the foul because he's athletic down there. So I like what he brings in. I like the relationship that I witnessed between him and the head coach, Coach Darko. I love how Coach Darko really takes him under his wing after a play, in between timeouts, in between plays, quarters. He's always talking to Quick. He's talking to him. And once you have a coach that's giving you that confidence, coming from a place where, you might not have had that type of relationship with your previous coach, not saying one is good or better or whatever. It's just a different relationship. And I had the same thing when I took my next step in my career with Lenny Wilkins, when he would put his arm around me and talk to me. So I really appreciated that. And I noticed that. So it'd be interesting to see how Quickley feels about that. But I like to see him get stronger. I like to see him become a better defender. I want to see him hound that basketball. I want to see him get over screens, get some deflections, get in the mix. Because everybody on this team, they're not talented enough to everybody just to rely on their talent. They have to be gritty.
Yeah.
Be grimy. You mentioned that team with Vince Carter. A lot of us, we had Vince Carter, but the rest of us, we had to be gritty and grimy.
Yeah. You guys had dogs. You guys had dogs
JYD.
on that team.
Speaking of dogs, JYD, Oakley, we had to be physical. We had to dive on the floor. We had to play injured. We had to do all of these things in order for our team to match what Vince was bringing on his side too. So I think the Raptors as a whole have to have that, but Quickley, he has the dog in him, but display it every night other than just, statistically and just scoring the basketball and running the show. You got to lead the charge with your aggressiveness and your ability to impact the game in many different ways.
No, I'm glad you just mentioned all those different things, because now that you mention that, I got to ask you this, because after winning that championship, the years that came after, right? When you see the changing with the roster and the lineups and the coaching and all that kind of stuff, good teams, and I would say successful teams, typically have some type of identity. And when I look at the Toronto Raptors, I don't know what that identity is right now, or maybe they don't have one. Maybe they're still trying to find one. But in regards to an identity, I mean, what is it?
Right now, it's just a young team. I think it's a young, energetic team. I think it's one of those things where as the season will progress, you'll start seeing, and that's going to start in training camp. It's going to be discipline. Is it going to be, just a physical team? Is it going to be an athletic team? Is it going to be a fast team? Is it going to be up and down team? We saw last year how well they did from assisting the basketball. They shared the basketball really well, right? You passing the basketball. When you talk about you don't really have a lot of knockdown shooters or guys that is catching and shoot, but you're still one of the top in assists in the NBA. That shows that you're passing the ball, you're finding players, you're working together. So just the camaraderie and the chemistry could be an identity, right? This team plays together. When I'm an opponent, and guys, we got to make sure we really lock in on defense, because they will share the basketball. They'll make the extra pass. We got to make multiple efforts in order to defend the Toronto Raptors. Or we got to get back on defense, because Quick will push the ball. RJ will run the wings. You know, we got Pirtle. He's rebounding, and Scotty Barnes trailing for a three. Like certain things. So right now, it's still early to tell because they haven't hit training camp yet. They haven't had those games yet. But I would imagine a young team that's going to play with a lot of energy, and they're going to be allowed to play through their mistakes. So it may be something where, you know, this is a carefree team. You got to make sure you play with them and keep their confidence down, because once their confidence get going, then they're a dangerous team. So right now it's a young, energetic team that we still don't know, which is also dangerous. When you go into a game without knowing who you're playing against, sometimes you're not ready for that. And you can get hit at all different angles. So you have to be patient to see what the team identity is, and that will develop. And it may not develop. It may change. You may make one trade and you bring a whole type of different player here that can impact the team, right? Just like you did with a Kawhi Leonard, right? You bring a player in. Now that team dynamics, that changed differently, right? That changed into a team that could play traditional basketball with Marc Gasol, and you had Serge Ibaka in the games at times. Then you had Serge coming off the bench. And you had Kyle Lowry as a third option now. He wasn't the 1A, 1B with DeMar DeRozan. So just one trade changed the whole dynamic, or two trades, because Marc Gasol came, and then you had Danny Green. So that team just became more versatile. It came deeper. So that team overnight pretty much changed the identity and the description of who they used to be.
Okay, Alvin, I'm gonna get you out of here on this last question, okay? Because as we all know, we're going into training camp here, right? I want you to talk to me about the importance of training camp. Now, obviously, you want to get used to each other in regards to X's and O's and all that kind of stuff, because us, you know, as media, we see it on the surface, right? Guys coming together, learning each other, getting to know each other, playing with each other. You guys are learning each other's tendencies and all that kind of stuff. But what is so important beyond that? Because we don't get access to everything, right? You guys, and you played for over a decade in the NBA. What is so important when it's just you guys, just talking, understanding, and knowing what the goal, what the mission is for the season? Can you somehow break it down to me, maybe in like bite-sized bits?
No, it's critical. Training camp is critical, but it has changed. It has changed over the years from the time I played, where we would have 2 days, and training camp was for about a month. And it was really when you would lock down. Some of the older players, they would get in shape, use that time to really get in shape. Younger players were trying to find their way and prove to the organization that they could play, and all of these things. But training camp is only important as the players take it. If the players don't think it's important, or it's just a phase of the season, they just want to get past so they can get to playing, that's going to be an issue, because it's the time where you can get everyone together, you can get everyone on the same page, you can see everybody's agenda, and make sure we have one agenda, and that's winning, getting better each and every day, pushing each other to the limit. So all of these things, it tests you. It really tests you. But now it's a little different. You don't have as many practices. You don't have as many hours. It's not as physical. It's a different type of thing. But the mentality still should be there, right? And that is, we're here together to make sure we get a great jump start to this season. We get a great jump start, and we're putting in the foundation of who we're going to be for this season. You talk about that identity. We want to start creating that identity during this training camp, right? And that's the biggest thing. So again, it's only going to be as important as your leaders. They run that practice. They make sure they hold everybody accountable. It's probably going to be 5, 6, 7 extra guys who may not be on the opening day roster, but everyone has to be there, and you have to work your butt off. You have to pay attention to detail. You have to be locked in. You have to take care of your body. You have to watch film, and you have to progress each and every day when you come to training camp and get ready for those preseason games. And for the Raptors, it has to be serious. Every day, every moment has to mean something. You have to go into this situation with intentional feelings and an intentional approach, because this is it. This is a big part to set that foundation and get everybody rolling on the same page.
All right. You win. I'm optimistic, Alvin. I'm optimistic.
Come on, man. You got to be, because you know what this is? This is not just for this season. This is for next season. You committed to Quickley. You committed to Scotty, right? You have Kelly Olynyk coming back home, and he's committed for the next couple of years. So you're going to have RJ. RJ wants to be. So these are the steps now. This season, no, it's not going to be a championship season. That's not in the cards right now, because that's not the approach, and it shouldn't be right now.
Yeah,
get better. But this is a blueprint of how you build for the next 2, 3, 4 years. What you talk about any business? 5-year plan, baby. I'm not saying it's going to take 5 years, but you want to put yourself in a position if there's a trade that needs to be made, if something needs to happen, if a draft happens, putting yourself in position, creating that foundation. And again, I would have to say, and I love the coaching staff. I love how the coaching staff works. I love how the coaching staff, not only they're coaching, but they're teaching, Mike. They're teaching the game of basketball, how it's played, how it should be played, and how it's played in the NBA. So I think that's another great step, because not just the team on the floor, those coaches on that sideline are doing a good job of getting these guys prepared and continue having them to grow.
I hear you, Alvin. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you soon, man. Former Toronto Raptor and NBA analyst for Sportsnet. Alvin, thank you very much. I appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, my man. Thanks.
All right. This is the Mike Roach Podcast. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, share, rate everything the Mike Roach Podcast at Mike Roach 7 on IG, at Mike Roach 23 on X, the one Mike Roach on TikTok. It's your boy, and I'm out.